Stick this in your ear.
The number one internet shock radio network.
Shock me with that deviant behavior.
Renegade Talk Radio.
It's Monday, December 2nd, 2024. And the deep state is in total panic mode as Trump begins to deliver on his promises.
InfoWars. Tomorrow's news today.
You are listening to an Infowars.com frontline report. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
48 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, 16 seconds until President Trump is inaugurated as the 47th President of the United States of America. It is Monday, December 2nd, 2024. I am your embattled, battle-hardened host. After 30-plus years in the trenches, we see globally the tide has completely turned. The New World Order transhumanist death cult is on its heels, and humanity is rising. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am loaded for bear. I am ready to go for the next 4 hours of this Monday transmission. Now let's put up on screen the live show feeds from X so everybody can see the headline and so everybody can share it if you want to continue to win against the tyrants. Massive bombshell developments. Trump pledges to prosecute Biden administration UN NGOs for human trafficking and sex slavery. Deep state now in total panic. Must watch, share, live feed of this transmission. "100% Trump's for real. 100% it's going down." When you've studied history, there are these moments, these great turnings, and it looks like evil is invincible. It's dancing on humanity's grave. It's committing mass crimes out in the open. The arrogance flows. The self-satisfied smirks gleam until it all starts disintegrating like vampires in the midday sun. And we are now at that beginning of the climax. And it is a very dangerous moment as well, because the future projection of humanity's destiny in the next 1,000 years is now laying out before us. What a time to be alive, my friends. And obviously, we're not offering some utopia on the other side of this, but a system at least driven by the will of the people to survive and prosper and have some semblance of justice, prosperity, basic freedom. The other choice is total despotism. So here's what's coming up today. Oh, we're going to revisit with the new developments what we covered last night. Oh, all the big new administration officials are announcing that indeed they're going to be prosecuting not just the low-level human smugglers, but the NGOs, the nonprofits, the for-profits, and the Biden administration officials like Alejandro Mayorkas and others. But in response, they're all scrambling around asking for blanket, total, open-ended pardons like Hunter Biden just got. Oh, there's so much to cover today. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Stay with us.
You are either with the Republic or against it. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Thank you for joining us on this live, teleprompter-free populist rebellion against tyranny. It's Monday, December 2nd, 2024. We are 48 very long, very dangerous days away from President Trump being inaugurated on the south side of the U.S. Capitol in Mordor. All right, Trump is 100% delivering on what he said he would do. It's obviously not perfect because only God's perfect, and there's quite a few things I don't like that Trump pushes, but overall he's not out to get us, and he cares about the country and justice and freedom, and he is doing the things he said he would do, and the system is beyond apoplectic. They are beyond chickens with their heads cut off running around, and they are as dangerous as hell. That said, they're badly coordinated, turning on each other, and are absolutely falling all over themselves. And this is spectacular. Now, yesterday I got particularly prepared for the show. I mean, I probably prepared 6-7 hours yesterday. And then I did an hour on the biggest news, and then I hit a wall, and this doesn't happen very often, where I'd done so much preparation, and it would take probably 5 hours to cover it all, that every once in a while, I just go like Robbie the Robot when he has too much information. Cannot compute, smoke coming out of my ears. But I'm refocused, prepared. I don't just have all the other news I didn't get to yesterday that I prepared for. I prepared a lot for all this other stuff, so I've cleared the deck of guests. I may take calls, but it won't be to the third or fourth hour because I need to cover all of this. And again, the problem is each article I could do an hour on easily because it's full depth understanding of something that really gives us victory. I mean, like this story I've had since Friday that I meant to cover. And didn't cover Friday, didn't cover Saturday, didn't cover Sunday. It's so spectacular. The U.S. government came out and admitted basically to all their weather control and said, but we're creating a new weather control bureau like a bunch of other countries have to stop other countries from attacking us with it and keeping other people from being able to do it individually or through a business, a corporation. And I mean, you talk about a deep dive. I mean, this is beyond geoengineering, beyond terraforming, beyond just what's going on there and how massive that is. The fact that they're coming out with it, why is that? And then this story feeds into everything else on how the globalists operate and how their control is coming to an end. I mean, that story alone gives me a headache. It's so important. And by headache, I mean my head just... Yesterday, I spent about an hour just reading that and printing documents and thinking about it. And I wrote more than 30 notes just about it. And each note would take 5 minutes. So that's where I'm at. That's one stack. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36 stacks. Some stacks are more than 20 articles. I've got 50-something videos here. And you're like, well, then get to it, Jack. Okay, I'm going to. But each one of these stacks brings up a whole database in my head, and I'm just like, ah! Because one thing is sit in my office, because the brain moves so quick. It's then, how do you boil it down? How do you put it into spoken word? It's each one of these stacks is like a whole speech that a professor or politician would spend weeks getting ready for. See what I mean? So it's painful. Like Musk says, the brain is hurting, but it's good. It's good for you. Like all that exercising I did for an hour and a half this morning, it got a little painful, but it feels good now. So that said, I had a little temper tantrum about an hour and a half of the show. I apologize to the crew and everybody else for that. That's not fake. It's real. And that's Robbie the Robot having fire shooting out of my ears. And I get why a lot of people don't want to know about reality because it's complex and it's wild. And the deeper you get into it, the more deep it gets and the more you want to know. And woo, it's wild. And it's fulfilling. But it's like sometimes it's like driving in a race car 250 miles an hour. It's like, when do I get off this thing? So let me just do this. I think the only way to do this is just start per stack. It's like you're about to start a marathon. It's like, ooh. It's like, I hate to use a bad analogy, but I am a dirty devil at points. It'd be like the 20 of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life. And you got one day to be with them all. I'm sorry, I'm being bad. The point is that because each one of these is devastating to the New World Order. And I really want to hit the nail on the head with all these. So, I mean, this right here is a big deal. Man, I should probably do the whole show on this. You know what this is? This is what I told you months and months and months ago was coming because they said it was coming. And then no one else talked about it but them. It's the martial law plan. Kind of a big deal. And this is their fallback plan if they can't kill Trump or stop him from winning the election, which he did, thanks to you. They're going to stage uprisings and do big false flags, racial false flags, as their pretext for civil war. Kind of a big deal. This is how they plan to stop the agenda right here. And if you're a regular listener, you've heard me talk about this probably 100 times or more in the last year. If you listen every day, probably 300 times. But this is big, and it ties into all the rest of this. Democrat senators urge Biden to try to limit Trump's ability to use the military domestically. NBC News. Now, again, this article gives me a headache because it's got hundreds, and really more than that, data points. This is a legislative coup over the executive, and they think if Biden, outgoing, somehow certifies that the presidency no longer has the power over the military, the command of it, Congress has the funding, that it's legitimate. That's one level. But the bigger issue is, what are they planning? Well, they say there's going to be uprisings against Hitler. I mean, obviously, Hitler 2.0, Donald John Trump. And so, and the Trump supporters are going to kill the migrants and kill the black people. They just say that with surety out of a clear blue sky because they're going to do the false flags. Duh. So I'm just sitting here waiting when Trump gets in, and they're going to have white supremacists mow down a bunch of migrants to set up Tom Homan and Trump and all of us. This is a big deal. And all of this is a big deal. Yeah, like the U.S. government's going to create a weather control bureau. Oh, like they just now started it. That's kind of big. That's two stories. Oh, my God. So, I mean, then you got this. Oh, this is not just a big deal. This is ginormous. And it's exactly what Dr. Kirk Elliott keeps saying. Great economist, really smart guy. Everybody that's lovey-dovey with Putin, just because he's been anti-globalist, everybody that thinks we're going to have a bunch of sweetie-kissy time with the Russians, that's not happening. Trump never worked with the Russians. Trump isn't on the payroll of the Russians. Trump is 100% a nationalist, pro-America, and he is going to destroy the BRICS, and with him at the helm, he will win. He's not going to blow the Russians up with bombs. That's a stupid way to do it. He is going to keep the dollar as the global power. And you're like, well, wait, that's how the globals control things. Yeah. And if you think Trump's going to give up that power, he's going to take it away from the globalist. And then he's going to turn us into a giant economic war machine. So Trump warns BRICS nations they will face 100% tariffs if they abandon the U.S. dollar. The globalists were manipulating America into the new global currency. To have the new global currency, you've got to have the dollar massively diminished. And then they were going to have this new global system, but then the Russians and the Chinese double-crossed the globalists and were setting up their system. You see? So Trump goes, nope, we'll just take the dollar back over, and we're not going to have it go away. And bye-bye to the New World Order. Bye-bye to the Russian New World Order. Bye-bye to the Chinese New World Order. Bye-bye to India's New World Order. Bye-bye to the EU's New World Order. Bye-bye to the globalist New World Order. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. This is what America first looks like. Okay, so there's that stack. You've obviously got the Hunter Biden unilateral, what's the term they officially use? Put the BBC headline back up. And I've got it here in the pardon, but what's the word? Unconditional. 360 total. Any crimes he committed since 2014 forward. You ever heard of a pardon like that? An omnibus. Unconditional. That's the word. Biden gives son Hunter unconditional pardon. That's called a get out of jail free card. Spectacular. Now, what goes back to 2014? Well, Hunter wasn't really running anything big or important. He was doing some bagman operations before that, but you know, Biden was big vice president then and all the rest of it, so there was big money to get on the Chinese communist hind tit. And there's the bioweapons labs in Ukraine and the energy scams and Biden bragging about it. Yeah, that's what this is all about, is protecting that entire criminal network that he was the bagman the whole time for. So this was a well thought out scam before Biden's brain completely rotted. So that's what this is really all about. Of course, there's more than one way to skin a rabbit or a cat or a pedophile, politically, non-violently, constitutionally. And that's the states coming after him, which, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And so I don't think old Hunter, the smartest man he knows, is going to get away with this. But this is a lot bigger than a gun charge and IRS stuff and crack whores and, you know, all the rest of these degenerates are up to. So we've got that stack. So what I've just mentioned, 3 stacks out of 36. Well, you get the idea. You got the Australian government coming after America's free speech, demonizing Joe Rogan. There's a lot to unpack there. And don't ever interrupt your enemies when they're destroying themselves. And we've got a lot here. We got Keir Starmer admitting that replacement migration is a real plan and all done by design, close quote. You've got liberal women getting sterilized after Donald Trump's victory. Talk about taking yourself out of the game. You've got all sorts of just insane news with the rats leaving the sinking ship. You've got big developments militarily in Ukraine, in Georgia, in Syria. They've got new pandemic plans they're rolling out. World leaders sign new censorship declaration at the UN event, while Secretary General Antonio Guterres pushes for increased online censorship and a global internet ID. And you've got Australia passing an internet ID law under the guise of protecting kids from porn. And as much as I like Ken Paxton, Republicans here in the United States, and the same thing is going on in Europe with conservative parties there, are, in the name of protecting children from porn, setting up internet IDs. And that's where this goes. And so Texas is in the next to last step, like Australia just did. It's one thing to tell companies, hey, you got to have age verification yourself. But then now the left's saying, well, that's not fair to federal courts. We don't just want Pornhub, the biggest porn site, to have to do this. It's not fair. Only 7 companies by Texas law. No, we want everyone. And the federal courts are getting ready to rule. Yeah, that's right. Texas can't have unjust weights and measures. You can't just make 7 porn sites that are responsible, they say, for 90% of the porn. You can't just have age verification there. It's got to be, if you want to go online to H-E-B grocery stores or Piggly Wiggly or Walmart and buy some beans and filet mignons or whatever, you got to do that too. Oh, it's a Trojan horse for Internet ID. And then the Internet ID is the global digital ID that'll control everything. The social credit score, the mark of the beast, the enemy's main takeover plan. You think they're on our ass now, sweetheart? No. Parents, put the parental controls on the computers. Keep your kids off the computers. Protect them. It's not the government's job to control what you can do on the internet. I mean, do I have to really explain this to people? I mean, come on. I mean, it's admitted that's the plan. Bill Gates and the rest of them in the UN are pushing this crap. And I've got the articles. I'll show you everything I just said. Oh, Democrats file lawsuits. Oh, Texas. No, you know what? We agree with this Internet ID. But Ken Paxton's wrong. We want it for everybody. You want to go shop and buy some new tires like I was doing this morning? Spent about 30 minutes poking around trying to find the best cheap tires for my car. Bald tires on the front. Oh, sorry, Internet ID. It's not here yet, but it will be soon. You think they've been debanking us so far? Yeah, debanking Trump's whole family, debanking me over and over again. You ain't seen nothing yet. All right, that is a small snapshot of what is coming up today. Now let me get into the big, massive news. And there's been new developments since last night. You got Tom Homan, the new border czar. You got Kash Patel, the new FBI director, and he doesn't have to face Senate approval. They just got to fire or make the old FBI director resign. And you've got exactly what we called for, exactly what I was told was going on. The new borders are Tom Homan saying, I'll play the clip coming up, that they are going to criminally not just go after the NGOs, not just go after the human traffickers at the ground level, where the rubber meets the road, at the tire, asphalt level. That's important. But they're going to go after the NGOs and the for-profits and the State Department and Alejandro Mayorkas. I don't normally revel in things, but I really don't like these people. And I really want to save the children. You think your kids are safe while this is going on? You think they're going to stop with just the poor migrant kids? Well, let me tell you something. It's in the news. He's running around trying to get immunity right now. Good luck, you piece of filth. I'm going to tell you, I don't drink anymore. But when that bastard gets sentenced to life in prison in a supermax prison, I'm going to get some Dom Perignon. I am. I might even swing from the chandelier at my house. I'm serious. I never swung from a chandelier, but I'm gonna get a step ladder. I'm gonna swing on it. I am. I'm gonna dance on the table. Nobody triggers me like him. My spirit just goes. Enemy. My spirit goes, that's the bad guy, right? Oh. It's okay, just stop. Okay, I'm going to go to break. I'm going to leave you a little compilation about the Hunter Biden pardon. That's the whole crime syndicate pardon right there. Look at that face. Look at that arrogance. Here's a little compilation of Nobody's Above the Law.
Is the President of the United States above the law?
No person is above the law.
No one 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 is above the law. No one is above the law.
He's certainly not above the law.
Nobody's above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States.
No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States.
This president believes he is above the law.
And no one, not even the President, should be above the law.
No one is above the law, and certainly not the President.
Oh, my God.
Again, I'll repeat, no one, not even the President, is above the law.
Oh, my God, do you know what this means? We finally got him.
We have a president who believes he is above the law.
No person is above the law.
Nobody's above the law.
We don't believe that anybody should be above the law.
He is not, as some people have tried to suggest, above the law.
The president is declaring himself above the law.
No one, not even the President of the United States, is above the law.
Donald Trump has tried to put himself above the law. And that's not how it works.
That's not how any of this works.
You are above the law.
In my view, there is nothing more dangerous than an unethical president who believes they are above the law.
You guys think you're above the law? You ain't above the law.
These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are. No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
We must ensure that no one is above the law.
I mean, dear God, this guy cannot in any way be allowed to be above the law.
This is the United States of America. No one is above the law. No one.
No one. No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Not Donald Trump, not anybody.
I tend to think that nobody is above the law.
No person above the law.
No one is above the law.
Looks like Donald Trump may have broken the law.
No one is above the law. No one, not even
the President,
is above the law.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Adjourn.
Biological attack is imminent. Imminent. It's going to happen. It's not a question of will it happen, but when it happens.
A bioweapon release could be the thing they'd release to bring in a world government to counter a global problem. And the UN has said that a global pandemic is the only thing that may save their world government.
This was a biological warfare agent that had leaked out of the Wuhan laboratory.
My fellow patriots, there are a lot of amazing Patriot gear, supplements, you name it, at thealexjonesstore.com. But we've now added a whole bunch of other really cool items. There are a bunch of amazing campaign coins for InfoWars for $17.76. For the Fight for Liberty on the site as low as $9.99. Some of the challenge coins are $14.97. They're great fundraisers for us. They have a lot of weight in them. They look great. They're great conversation starters, great gifts, great keepsakes, mementos, and you know that you've supported the InfoWar. So I want to thank you all for your past support and encourage you now to go to thealexjonesstore.com, our amazing sponsor that will keep us on air one way or the other. If InfoWars gets shut down, that's okay, because they're a great sponsor. They're not owned by me, and the bad guys won't be able to shut down thealexjonesstore.com. So go there for the campaign coins and so much more today, and keep me in the fight. Thank you so much for your support.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. Live from the Infowars.com studios, you're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Last night,
a little dancer, she came a-dancing to my door. Last night, the little angel, she came pumping on my floor.
She said,
She said, come on baby, you got a license for love. And if it expires, pray help from above. Because in the midnight hour, she cried more.
With a rebel yell.
With a rebel yell, she cried more. Yeah. In the midnight hour, baby, more. Alright. With a rebel yell, she cried more.
Ladies and gentlemen, I come to you from the battle-scarred headquarters of InfoWars, vaunted in our history, battling tyrants. In our epic success, sounding the alarm, lighting the watchtowers, to rally humanity in our darkest hour, will never be erased. And not just the world's been watching and listening, but God's been watching. Never forget that. God is on the throne. All right, let's get into the big story. The obvious move to do the right thing and save the children and not aid and abet the globalist in the biggest public human trafficking, sex slavery operation in history, and to bring down the globalist global network, is to go into the NGOs in the last 4 years that have been in full command of the DHS, ICE, Border Patrol systems. You go to the border, and it's in the documents. We've shot the video. Literal communists with purple green hair are ordering and commanding the National Guard and the Border Patrol around. And the Border Patrol came out, and their heads of their unions and said, we're completing the smuggling process. They said that a month in to Biden stealing the election in 2021. And they had tons of people resign and quit because they wouldn't be part of it. And whistleblowers and congressional testimony. And the corporate media tried to suppress it. And AOC would go and cry at the border to empty fields. And just all this. And Trump's putting kids in cages before that. And the obvious move is that if you study the UN and NATO for 30 years at least, it would be in even the BBC and the London Telegraph and Le Figaro and Der Spiegel and Bild. Not in the last 10 years or so. Corporate control was so great, it wasn't really in the news anymore. AP was the last big report I saw like 5 years ago about Haiti, admitting, the UN kidnapped and ran tens of thousands of children out of here and disappeared a bunch of them, and some have been found dead. And that AP multi-year report, our reporters have been there as well, got almost zero coverage. So, see, it's important before I just tell you what Homan and Kash Patel and the rest of them are saying Trump's ordered them to do. Go after the NGOs, go after the UN, go after the nonprofits, go after the for-profits, and go after the administration officials that were in command of it. They do not have immunity. You have immunity when you're executing lawfully your office, not when you're executing it unfaithfully or criminally. So, literally, I have seen thousands of articles when I first got on there 30 years ago through about a decade ago. It used to, UN caught with 5 passenger planes chartered with kidnapped women and children being flown to sex slavery destinations. And Halliburton caught in 9 countries with over 100,000 slave laborers from Asia. They'd fly them to Africa, Middle East. I mean, you're reading this stuff and like they have photos of it. They'd have congressional testimony and ask Halliburton, and other companies about how they're running giant slave operations. They go, well, it's legal. Rumsfeld gets asked about it, and he goes, well, DynCorp got caught running tens of thousands of kidnapped kids in Europe for the UN. And he goes, well, they did get put in a penalty box. They weren't given contracts for a year. You can pull that up on YouTube. It's probably still there. They didn't take it down. We played it probably 200 times over the years. I haven't played it in years, but he's asked about it by Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. And she goes, well, DynCorp got caught kidnapping all these women and children in sex slavery. And he goes, they didn't get in trouble. And he goes, well, they got put in a penalty box for a year. He doesn't even deny it. Just type in Rumsfeld questioned on human trafficking in Congress. He doesn't even deny it. So my point is, this has been going on huge in Europe because they get the top dollar. And they would grab mainly out of Eastern and Central Europe kids down to like a year or two old, just out of the backs of yards. But their favorite thing would be like a 10 or 12-year-old girl with these fake modeling agencies. They'd come to town, set up a little modeling agency, good-looking women there. Oh, you're going to be in a model. We're going to take photos of you. We need you to go ahead and come and have a drink with us here in the back. They drug them, put them in a van, and take them to an airplane run by the UN, by DynCorp, by you name it, and never seen again. And boy, the Arabs would pay a lot. They have still in a bunch of Middle Eastern countries what they call harems. Let's pull up the definition of a harem or a haram. And that's your building full of slave women. And they call the girls below the age of 10 in Islam virgins. When you hear, oh, you get 57 virgins when you blow yourself up, that means little girls. Pedophilia. Muhammad married a 9-year-old. It's in the Quran. So that's not blasphemy. It's your own history book. Mecca was the slave center out of Asia into the West of slaves from the East. And Muslims traffic slaves all the way in the Pacific Ocean. That's why a bunch of countries in the Pacific Ocean, like Indonesia, are Muslim. The song about from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles. That's when President Thomas Jefferson sent the Leathernecks, the Marines on ships, over the Mediterranean and other areas into the Arabian Sea because the Muslims were hijacking all the different shipping of Europe and running raids again and kidnapping women out of Europe on their shores in Italy, in Greece, and in southern Spain. So he sent a bunch of Marines over to kill their ass. And they got the name Leatherneck because they wore leather armor up around their cheeks and iron helmets. And when the Muslims would jump on the ships and try to cut their heads off, they'd bounce off their armor. So that's why Marines are called Leathernecks today. That was the first foreign war of the United States. Look it up. That was basically the Ottoman Empire. But my point is, this has been going on a long time. And Mayorkas and the Democrats thought, well, we'll just publicly run what we've been doing over there, over here. So you see, NATO, look it up. Look up NATO, human trafficking, sex slavery, kidnapped children. You'll have to click Google Images or really go back because it's no reporting in 10 years that I've seen much on. It used to be big. I mean, there was still, the media was like, this is wrong. They had PBS documentaries I saw 20-something years ago on PBS about the UN kidnapping all these women out of Europe. I mean, this is horrible. And finding them. Oh, by the way, Israel's big on that, too. Israel's got a bunch of sex slaves in it. Israel, it's just a Middle Eastern thing, I guess. Look at Israel. They're heavily involved as well. Saudi Arabia, it's disgusting. So this Middle Eastern flavor, by the way, in the ancient European societies, especially the Germanic ones, the Roman histories are written on this. Keeping sex slaves was an executable offense, by the way. Yeah, 2006 Defense Department Budget House Armed Services Committee about the kidnapped kids and DynCorp. By the way, DynCorp all over the country runs most of the private CPS contractors. So this is a big, there's NATO force feeds Kosovo sex trade, London Guardian, 2004. So it used to be a big story. So we're all hearing about this here and seeing it, and the whistleblowers were like, that sounds unbelievable. No, they were just like, yeah, there's Epstein's company. They're like, yeah, he flew a lot of his girls over here when they were like 10, and then they would become the managers over the younger girls in sex slavery later. And Ghislaine Maxwell was a sex slave of her father and a sex operative as well. So it was a family business. But Epstein's just a little piece of it, little window though, and a keyhole. Like, ooh, what's going on there? So see, I don't want to just come tell you about the latest. Just a little snapshot of the past. You can look up all this for yourself. So this is a giant industrial scale operation. Yeah, there's the Times of London. Wow, that's only 6 years ago. Wow. I don't know how many children I raped while working for the UN. So, and you've got Der Spiegel, 30+ thousand children taken and given to convicted pedophiles by the CIA-controlled operation from the 60s to the 90s to create a, quote, new culture and to get rid of the nuclear family. What do you think California legalizing pedophilia is about? It's a pedo cult. And if you're a new listener, you're like, this just can't be happening. This isn't real. Just search engine everything I say like the crew does. And it gets a lot worse. Look into NATO and snuff films. You want to read those reports? I've read the international police reports. You want me to describe one for you? I don't even want to think about it. I read one report about 25 years ago on air, and a couple stations dumped me and said, we don't care if it's true. We can't have that on air. I understand. It's like parents that go to the school board and read what their sixth grader checked out in the library, and it's graphic novels of men raping little boys, and the little boys enjoying it, literally priming and grooming your kids, and then mothers get up, our own reporters have, Christy Lee, and try to read it at the Austin school board, and the police come and say, you can't read that. Oh, but kids can have it in the sixth grade. You may tell you about one of the snuff films that NATO, Interpol was involved in? Let me describe one of them for you. Think I should describe it for you? You want to know? I don't think you want to know. It involves men gang raping two 2-year-old boys and then blowing their heads off with large revolvers. I'm not going to tell you the rest of it. Raping children till their guts spill out of the rear ends. Sorry, I understand. We're not supposed to read this at the school boards. We're not supposed to tell you. The only reason they get away with it is because it's so horrible people can't believe it. And that's evil's defense mechanism I'll explain coming up. AP exclusive, UN child sex ring left victims but no arrest. Yeah, that was one of their last big reports. Because obviously, if you want to rape 2-year-olds, you don't want to just rape them. You want to hurt children. So I'm going to explain it again. Raping children is just the gateway drug. They murder them. Oh, Washington Post. Obama administration placed children with human traffickers, report says. That's 9 years old. Let's see if my memory serves. Scroll down. Is that 9 years old? 2016. 8.5 years ago. So see, there used to even be a soul, but around 10 years ago in the corporate media, they just basically stopped reporting. I mean, it's still here and there, but used to was a big deal. Like, this is pretty important. We better report on this. You got all these CIA contractors disappearing these kids with little to no documentation. You got the federal government since Obama's third term 4 years ago started under Biden. Not doing the DNA testing of the kids when they're obviously not with their parents. So I've kind of set the table here. When you hear Tom Homan say, we've been greenlit with the task force to go after the smugglers, the NGOs, and the administration officials involved, that is the right thing to do. We need to find the children. We need to then prosecute the people that did it so they can't do it again. And then it'll take down the entire globalist network that uses the sex slavery as a currency of control and of initiation rituals. So justice be done, may the heavens fall. This is the reality. How evil will evil get? As evil as you let it. It has no limits. They just killed 30 million plus people with the poison shots, insurance actuaries. Major British, Oxford, Harvard study. Every one of the new heart attack, myocarditis cases in children, 1.7 million, was injected with the Pfizer shot alone. I've got the study right here. I'll get to that. You're like, why would you do something like that? Well, there's a lot of reasons. I'll explain it next hour. Because if you understand the mindset of why they do it, there's a philosophy. See, there's two types of knowledge. There's knowledge of good, and there's knowledge of evil. And knowledge means you understand how the systems work. One builds strength and beauty and honor and life and power and success. The other, destruction and death and betrayal. But there are ways you can do things. And see, good people don't really have knowledge of evil, which you can say is good at one level, because when no one has knowledge of it, no one does it. And you just operate on as God designed you. But since evil's been introduced and evil systems developed and set up as perpetual motion machines, we need to stop being naive and face the horror. If you want to dismantle the horror, you don't make a friend of horror, as Colonel Kurtz says in Apocalypse Now. You make it your mortal enemy so that you can know it, but then understand it and put yourself in its shoes, in its boots, so you can understand why it's doing it, because killing people is just part of it. So, I still have 3+ hours coming up. I'll get to everything else, but I need to spend some more time on this, as you can see, because I could go for 10 hours just on this. That's a problem. Like, when do you cut it off? Because I just keep going and going and going and going, and people go, oh, I'm told by listeners, that's when they go, oh, yeah, oh, because you don't need to just hear it from me. You're like, oh, yeah, that's how they, yeah, exactly, oh, yeah, see, oh, yeah. You put the glasses on. It's not me telling you. You just see it now. And once you see it, there's no going back. It's like Morpheus tells Neo, listen, I'm not promising you anything but reality, okay? You take the blue pill, you go back to Wonderland. You take the red pill, you come to reality, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. And yeah, well, it's the metaphor in such a great, screenplay of an amazing novel of They Live, where the glasses give you a headache. It's just like, what? Yeah, no, it's easy to be in the Matrix, but it'll kill you, kill your soul. But it's easy on the surface, just like not exercising. Sitting on your ass and eating bonbons all day and weighing 400 pounds. So we're going to start the next hour. I'm going to play all the clips, get to it all, finish up. It'll take me at least 20 minutes, and then I'm going to go to all the rest of it, I promise. It's important. And then we'll cut this live show up, and I have a sneaking suspicion my report on the globalist plan to trigger martial law once Trump gets in will be listened to by the president and everyone else, and they'll say, oh, yeah, we already see all the pieces of that. We already knew that, but were you paying attention? See, the reason I'm so successful at getting corporations and governments to listen to me that aren't committed to evil, and the bad guys listen too, is they already know all this. They're just not paying attention. They get distracted. My job is to get people back on target. What are the bad guys planning? What have they signaled? What have they telegraphed? So that we're waiting for them when they try it, or the bad guys get smart and run up that white flag, which I'm seeing a lot more of. And so instead of getting depressed, just focusing on the evil, I have prayed about it. I've decided to be very happy and appreciate the victories we're having. And that's why I'm probably going too far the other way and having a little bit of reveling and chortling. But this is better than being upset, because we are starting to have big victory, and I thank God. But I also ask God to temper my celebrations a bit, because we need to not be overconfident. Well, things are going quite well. So that's coming up. I've been waiting a long time for this, globalist. You know it too, don't you? So, if you think this show, exposing the enemy's next moves and winning, is important, I humbly ask you to do the right thing, get incredible products, and keep us on the air. So you need to go to thealexjonestore.com, not owned by me, not InfoWars. No matter what happens to InfoWars, they're attempting to shut down. This will continue on. Incredible Patriot gear, incredible supplements. And when I say incredible supplements, the best probiotic. Everybody needs probiotic. The best gut cleanse, the best vitamin mineral, Hydra Relief, Hydra Force. It's all there. It's over 200 different T-shirt designs and ball caps. It's insane. I can now say the biggest selection of Patriot gear there is anywhere. I mean, the hoodies, the Christmas sweaters, all of it. You want a conversation piece. Oh, my goodness. You want to meet like-minded people. You want to trigger leftist cult members. It's all there at thealexjonestore.com, the coordinates of liberty. And right now, on top of all the other discounts, 40% off when you get 3 shirts or hats, 2 hoodies, 35% off, ultimate supplement bundle on top of the regular discounts, 30% off. And all VIP members don't just get your $40 to spend in the store each month. For the $30 you spend a month as a VIP member, cancel any time. Then you get even other special deals like this one, emailed to your inbox, depending, it's all random by computer, $30, $40, or $50 in free gifts on top of it. It's all there at thealexjonestore.com. And if you get one supplement, get the ultimate Irish sea moss. Wow. You think I'm losing weight, looking good, skin's glowing? I'm gobbling the sea moss. Though it is a stimulant, even though it's not advertised as that, I got to be careful because I get a little too ramped up. So, Next Level Foundational Energy's 30% off at drjonesnaturals.com. All fluoride-free toothpaste with all the super goodies and essential oils, 30% off. Silver Bulk Colloidal Silk, 30% off. CoQ10, liposomal, highest quality CoQ10, and quercetin, both 40% off individually or 50% off together. Biggest sale ever at drjonesnaturals.com. My dad's great supplement company, a great sponsor, also not owned by InfoWars. So be sure and support drjonesnaturals.com and keep us in the fight at our moment of victory. My fellow patriots, there are a lot of amazing Patriot gear, supplements, you name it, at thealexjonestore.com. But we've now added a whole bunch of other really cool items. There are a bunch of amazing campaign coins for InfoWars for $17.76. For the Fight for Liberty on the site as low as $9.99. Some of the challenge coins are $14.97. They're great fundraisers for us. They have a lot of weight in them. They look great. They're great conversation starters, great gifts, great keepsakes, mementos, and you know that you've supported the InfoWar. So I want to thank you all for your past support and encourage you now to go to thealexjonestore.com, our amazing sponsor that will keep us on air one way or the other. If InfoWars gets shut down, That's okay, because they're a great sponsor. They're not owned by me, and the bad guys won't be able to shut down the AlexJonesStore.com. So go there for the campaign coins and so much more today, and keep me in the fight. Thank you so much for your support. Through the rest of the devastating activities of the incoming Trump administration, where they are openly announcing that they are going to criminally go after the entire human trafficking sex network of the New World Order. And hey, it's the right thing to do. They're not giving anybody quarter. We got to find these kids. So just let them have it. We'll destroy them all. It'll annihilate the leftist globalist parties, all of them. It'll go right up to BlackRock, right up to the top globalist, and we just have to do it. Or they're going to have World War III and kill us all. See, that's the thing. It's the right thing to do anyway, so we should have been doing it. But also, these people aren't going to go away. We got to just get them. And this will unify everybody. It's the end of the New World Order if we want it. They'll still be evil, but they'll have to hide and creep around the shadows, not run around doing it in mass scale in front of everybody. Now, a lot of stations don't carry this first 5. Remember, we're on 400-plus stations now. Streisand effect, and thank all the stations. Be sure and support them. So when we come back at 6 after, I'm going to just judiciously hit this, Cash Patel info, finish up, play the clips. I've already given you the background the last hour. I know most of you already knew that. But remember, we're reaching new people that are waking up now. And if you're a new viewer, the crew's just putting in whatever I say. They're just bloop, 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 bloop. They found the congressional testimony video. We'll play that. Problem is it's hours long, but we'll see if they found the right clip. Not their fault. They can't know exactly which clip I want, but I have to go check it during the break and make sure it's there. But keeping us on air is the key to this victory, and I want to thank you all for your support. Here's an important message. My dad is chemistry background, also a retired doctor, but he came in to help me run my supplement division 13 years ago. The deep state sued the hell out of him. We're going to our guest in a moment, but I got to do this. Thank you, sir. And they basically almost destroyed my parents. They didn't even complain until I heard about it from family that my dad was at the edge of bankruptcy himself with all the lawsuits the Democrats filed. By the way, they said in court that their attorney's fees are $316 million yesterday. They filed before. They've spent $80 million suing me. We've spent $16 million fighting them. My dad spent $2 million fighting them. And we're finally winning. Not only does my dad's supplement company, drjonesnaturals.com, have some of the best supplements, it is a personal request I ask you to support him because he's been a sponsor and wouldn't tell me in the last few years he was out of money. He was giving everything to InfoWars and then personally going through his savings and selling things he had and not telling me, because that's how dads are. My mother wouldn't tell me. Then when I found out about this a few months ago when they were out of town, I went and dug through all his finances in his office, and I got pissed. So it is a personal thing for me, a warrior who fights for you every day and my own future as well, to ask you, I need your help. The supplements are there. They're great. He's got a bunch more coming in. He's put everything into it he has. They're incredible. I've given so much to this fight, and I respectfully ask all of you, every person listening, because such a tiny fraction of you ever actually go buy anything, that I don't want to belabor this. We have important topics to cover. Please support us. Go to drjonesnaturals.com. There's a new sale. Everything is 30% off. Next Level Foundational Energy, all fluoride-free toothpaste, Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver, CoQ10, and Quercetin Max that are high-end Quercetin and CoQ10 for 40% off. Or try these other amazing products. Ultimate Longevity Pack for 50% off, a big sale. And my dad literally took a loan last week to be able to buy the product that's coming in finally next week, Turbo Force, things like that are popular. So we're trying to stabilize something that's important, and the enemy can get us so down to burn us out and shut us down. My dad won't stop fighting. He's a fighter. Hell, he's my dad. I think I'm a fighter. They wouldn't even tell me this stuff. We need to sell out of the little bit of stuff they got left just to get the next 3 or 4 products that are finally coming in to get them back on their feet so they can be a sponsor. But at this point, it's not even about sponsoring the Alex Jones Show. It's about my parents. And if you think I can continue to fight the globalists when my parents are being destroyed, that's why the enemy targeted them. So please support the InfoWar today. Support my mother and my father. I'm asking it personally for you to do it now. And if 5% of the millions watching would go do it, all our problems would be over in 1 minute. But it's less than 1% that ever buy anything from drjonesnaturals.com, thealexjonestore.com. And for those that do support, thank you for keeping us in the fight for our futures. So, thealexjonestore.com, drjonesnaturals.com. I'm going to shut up at the balance of this.
But if you wanna find hell with me, I'm gonna show you what it's like. Till you're bleeding, I'm not about to see your light. But if you wanna find hell with me, I'm gonna show you what it's like.
Satanists like to destroy children's innocence. They like to rape them and murder them. Well, I tell you what I like doing. Destroying them. That's what I like. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you Satanists what it's like. Yes. I'll get you. You'll burn. Got our hands around their throats. Now all we got to do is squeeze and focus and watch those eyes go blank. Politically, non-violently, lovingly. Yeah, let me show you a reporter. I just showed you BBC, AP, Reuters, Giant, UN, DynCorp, Halliburton, child kidnapping, slave rings run worldwide. And until about 10 years ago, it was in the news all the time. Evidence of sexual exploitation and abuse in the aid sector. Big international. Amnesty International. Parliamentary reports out of the UK right here. And then Kash Patel says we're going after the international child trafficking networks. And the Drudge Report and the Washington Post say he's a conspiracy theorist. They said it's like if you cross Alex Jones with J. Edgar Hoover. Oh, my God. If you actually knew about J. Edgar Hoover, he was one of their people. That's how they controlled him. This sex crap's been going on for a long time. And people are finally waking up. It's not just the right thing to do to save the children and stop this stuff. You don't stop the New World Order unless you bring this down. You think God's just going to let evil attack these kids and we're not going to get judged? Yeah, put the headline back up. I want to show people. Oh, look, MSNBC writer says Kash Patel as FBI director would be like if you crossed Alex Jones with J. Edgar Hoover. That's hilarious. They are crapping their britches. So they did dig it up. There's hours of this testimony, but this is from 2004, 6, I forget. But they had congressional hearings, and this came up. And the Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, didn't even deny it. He's like, yeah, no big deal. So this is the arrogance. And, of course, DynCorp and these companies were never put in a penalty box. They didn't even get in trouble. They didn't even lose their contractability. Yeah, it was the 2006 Defense Department Budget, House Armed Services Committee. Here's part of the clip.
I thank the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. McKinney.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I watched President Bush deliver a moving speech at the United Nations in September 2003, in which he mentioned the crisis of the sex trade. The president called for the punishment of those involved in this horrible business. But at the very moment of that speech, DynCorp was exposed for having been involved in the buying and selling of young women and children. While all of this was going on, DynCorp kept the Pentagon contract to administer the smallpox and anthrax vaccines and is now working on a plague vaccine through the Joint Vaccine Acquisition Program. Mr. Secretary, is it policy of the U.S. government to reward companies that traffic in women and little girls? That's my first question. My second question, Mr. Secretary, according to the Comptroller General of the United States, there are serious financial management problems at the Pentagon, to which Mr. Cooper alluded. Fiscal year 1999, $2.3 trillion missing. Fiscal year 2000, $1.1 trillion missing. And DOD is the number one reason why the government can't balance its checkbook. The Pentagon has claimed year after year that the reason it can't account for the money is because its computers don't communicate with each other. My second question, Mr. Secretary, is who has the contracts today to make those systems communicate with each other? How long have they had those contracts? And how much have the taxpayers paid for them? Finally, Mr. Secretary, after the last hearing, I thought that my office was promised a written response to my question regarding the 4 war games on September 11th. I have not yet received that response, but would like for you to respond to the questions that I've put to you today, and then I do expect the written response to my previous question, hopefully by the end of the week.
Thank you, Representative. First, the answer to your first question is no. Absolutely not. The policy of the United States government is clear, unambiguous, and opposed to the activities that you described. The second question.
Well, how do you explain the fact that DynCorp and its successor companies have received and continue to receive government contracts?
I would have to go and find the facts, but there are laws and rules and regulations with respect to government contracts, and there are times that corporations do things they should not do, in which case they tend to be suspended for some period. There are times then that under the laws and the rules and regulations passed by the Congress and implemented by the executive branch, that corporations can get off of out of the penalty box, if you will, and be permitted to engage in contracts with the government. They're not generally not barred in perpetuity.
This company was never in the penalty box. If you could proceed to my second question, please.
The second question. I've forgotten what the second question was.
I think Ms. Jonas knows it.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. McKinney. I appreciate the question. I appreciate your interest in our department's financial condition.
All right, let's stop right there. And, of course, another decade, same story. Trillions more missing from the Pentagon. And, boy, they don't want Trump investigating that. Well, you're not the government. You work for us. This is out of control. It's been out of control forever. So when we hear about Mayorkas and Harris and Biden and all them of this massive record level human trafficking in the millions, 25 million total, millions, not just 325,000. They've had the ICE top people say, oh, it's in the millions, over 1 million children. But what they know that they had and were ordered to turn over, in many cases with no documentation, babies as young as 3 months old, loaded on airplanes with no diapers, no milk, no formula. I played the congressional testimony and had the whistleblowers here in studio. If you're a new viewer. And the whistleblowers are sitting there. This is right when Biden got in. They've been doing this before. None of this happened under Trump. Stopped. It was going on some under Obama. And they're like, they're not telling you where you're going. And you fly to one destination, one. They're on the plane for like 10 hours. And the children are defecating all over the place. Babies. And there's not even food for them. And then they land on a tarmac and buses pull up and they just hand babies over, in some cases with no information at all. Not who is this? What's the kid's name? I mean, that... You need a driver's license to get a library card, but not to vote in these states that vote Democrat, every state that doesn't have voter IDs where they stay in power. So I could talk for 100 hours about this. There's so much evidence. But the point is, this is not new. It's just getting worse, and it's out in the open. And when it really started to become a top issue 10 years ago, big money came in to the universities and the think tanks and the watchdog NGOs against the other NGOs and the corporate media, and it just stopped. It went from a deluge, a fire hose of information to a trickle. And it's gotten much worse and is now out in the open with almost no resistance to it other than conspiracy theorists like Alex Jones and Kash Patel. Yeah, Kash Patel was the deputy head of one of the most important intelligence agencies. Oh, but he's a conspiracy theorist about releasing the Epstein list that they admit they had, they won't release. That's not a conspiracy theory. Or going after the NGOs that did the record level human trafficking here in America. Or Tom Homan saying we're going after the NGOs, the UN, and the administration operatives. Yes, yes, yes. And if they just do that, because the globalists are coming after us anyways, and I say that people in government that are not bad people, they're like, if we really do this, the public can't handle it. Yeah, the public can handle the truth. Remember in A Few Good Men? Jack Nicholson playing the Marine Corps officer, talking to the Marine Corps lawyer, or the Navy lawyer, Tom Cruise. And he says, you want answers? I'll give you the answers. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Well, you can handle the truth because living under the tyranny of denying all this stuff is 1,000,000,000 times worse. InfoWars, because you can handle the truth. You want answers? I got answers for you. You don't have to believe me. You can go check out every damn thing I say. Including calling to the minute when Trump would come out and announce his victory 2.5 hours before. A little over the horizon stuff, too. And if I get told to do a lot more of that, I will, but only when I get told to. Oh, and it's not from the Mercers or the Vatican or the Israelis. I don't get told to do anything by them. I get told by Holy Spirit. That's where I get the orders. And that's why the bad guys don't like this show. So let's continue here. And yeah, I'm very satisfied. I wouldn't call it prideful. It borders on reveling because these people are really evil and they are going to continue to attack everybody. And things are going to get a lot darker if we don't turn this around. And I see humanity starting to really wake up fast and turn the ship around. And that's very exciting. It'd be really nice to not have a nuclear war, wouldn't it? It'd be really nice to stabilize inflation and get lower energy costs. It'd be really nice to go after hardcore criminals. It'd be really nice to free children in sex slavery. It'd be really good. It'd be really good. Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah, well, we're getting there. And it's real. And Rob Reiner and all these leftists are leaving the country and leaving X and checking themselves into mental institutions and bragging about it. Because, folks, they're all part of this thing you don't get in those clubs. I was talking to an individual, I'll just leave it at that, about pedophiles in Hollywood a few days ago. And he said, oh, yeah, let me tell you about, and the person knows these people. And I said, oh, he's a such and such. He goes, well, how do you know? And I go, I got told that by a movie producer 18, 19 years ago. He was just going down a list, this person, this person. And I said, well, we got to go tell the police that. And he's like, well, I mean, I just talked to the guys that saw it. I said, well, you need to get them to go to the police. And it was a very well-known Hollywood person that when they're on location and shoots in Latin America with the security team, that just grab women out of the villages and just rape them. And kids. And that's just, that's just the way this works. So, yeah, this is going on. These people think they're God. They like to hurt good people. You want to give a nice little kid you see in some village a balloon or, give him a piece of candy or something to be nice to him. No, these people want to murder them because it's about them. They are destroy somebody's future. They got power. Yeah, they get off on evil. And the more you commit evil, the more you get into it, you need to do more of it and more of it and more of it and more of it. Read about psychotics. Read about psychopaths. Read about serial killers when they talk to psychiatrists. The only time they're happy is when they're doing something really nasty. Like arsonists and all these people. They like doing bad things. And these Hollywood movies where the Joker's a hero now. He's so intellectual. He's so good. He wants to burn down the world. Oh, he's a good person. No, the Joker needs a bullet in the back of his head. He's not cool. He's a piece of crap. That archetype of the smiling Joker, that demon, that punk. So, here's a clip of Homan. The full interview from Fox is up there. It's being announced. The task forces, you heard Flynn weeks ago say, no, they're doing it. He's like, don't tell me the whole plan, Alex. I'm like, well, it's obviously the plan. It's the right thing to do, and it will take them down. I mean, it's the big daddy. You want to demonize the establishment? You want to destroy them forever because they are demons? You unravel this sucker. They're all getting put in prison. And then some. And a lot of them are committing suicide. A lot of them are leaving the country now. It's happening. And that's going to happen. I mean, a lot of them are going to fall down and hit their heads. So these jokers are in a lot of trouble because he who laughs last wins. But we're not going to be laughing. We're just taking out the trash, doing our duty. You want to burn down the world? We're going to burn you down. Here's Tom Homan.
Not because of mismanagement, not because of incompetence, by design. They want this open border. They obviously think these millions of people will be future Democratic voters, but also he overturned the Trump census rule, which millions of people in sanctuary cities recounted the next census. And what does that mean? More seats in House for the Dems. But I tell you what, the Trump team coming to town, we're going to take control January 20th, and people are going to be held accountable. We're going to be very transparent. We're going to get behind. What did the United Nations have to do with this open border crisis? Who in the administration, the Biden administration, opened the doors on this humanitarian crisis? What NGOs were involved in this? We're going to be very transparent to American people, and we're going to tell them the truth, what happened on this border. Again, by design, and we're going to let the American people know who was involved, why, and hold them accountable.
And hold them accountable. Tell me more. I already know. Because I can play chess as good as a lot of folks, and this is a real chessboard with our lives involved, and we have them in check. Burn them. And it's not just the first order right thing to do. It's the second order, the third order, the fourth order, the fifth order, the sixth order, the seventh order, the eighth order, the ninth order, the 10th order, the 11th order, the 12th order. Oh, my goodness. The 12th order is the mind of God, perfection, eternity, total completion. Here's a couple little clips with the rats leaving the sinking ship. The bag man for the Obamas and others with hundreds of criminal operations is Hunter. They believe by giving him cover, it gives them cover. It's not going to work. Here's some clips. I'm going to explain why.
From a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there
I just said no. I just answered.
Hunter Biden is now the first son of a sitting U.S. president to be convicted of a crime.
I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no. It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
President Biden says that he's not going to pardon his son, Hunter. Is he going to ask Donald Trump to do that?
I don't have anything else to share about that. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole on this. I've been very clear. The president's been very clear when we've been asked this question.
And is there any world in which President Biden would consider pardoning the former president?
I'm just not going to speak to that. No comment.
Have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, $1/4 of $1. We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation, you get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice. Under our forfeiture statutes, the government can, take everything you own. Everything from your car to your house, your bank account, not merely what they confiscate in terms of the dollars from the transaction that you just got caught engaging in. They can take everything. I don't care why they've become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society. They are in jail. Away from my mother, your husband, our families. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
All right, we're going to go to break in 50 seconds, and I am going to break down the enemy's response to what Trump is doing and what we should expect from the bad guys. And then some of the latest crime sprees by the illegal aliens running around foaming at the mouth, because many of them came here dumped out of prisons, expressly told from places like Venezuela to come here and have a free-for-all. Someone hit that, how the enemy is going to respond. This is key information that is vital to defeating the New World Order. We have the enemy plan. I know the enemy plan before they even give the orders to their operatives. I am inside the enemy's brain right now. Stay with us. Most people that research supplements and that are into health know that Irish sea moss and its benefits are documented and incredible. Well, our sponsor, the AlexJonesStore.com, happened to be able to get one of the top suppliers with the highest rated Irish sea moss to give them the authorization to private label it. So now it's Alex Jones Ultimate Sea Moss, exclusively available at the AlexJonesStore.com. It is the ultimate superfood. The iodine, the trace minerals, the elements, the vitamins that are in this are incredible. They give you instant energy, instant focus, but as you take it for a few weeks, you feel the stamina, the libido, the mental clarity. It is a superfood. It is concentrated. So get Alex Jones Ultimate Sea Moss exclusively discounted at the AlexJonesStore.com. And listen to this. One bottle is 40% off. 3 bottles is 55% off. And again, 1 bottle is 40%. Get yours today at the AlexJonesStore.com. And I thank you for keeping us on the air.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want to stop tyranny? Well, so does he. Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
my gosh, I don't know. This is insane. We're an hour and a half into this powerful transmission. I've got 2.5 hours left here, and I'm going to continue just rampaging through the news. But a 600-page report just dropped. During the 4-minute break, I just read the first few pages of it. And man, if I was happy earlier, right now I am having a mental orgasm. I mean, seriously, I'm having trouble even doing the show at this point. I'm going to have to cover this later, though, because I need to scan through it some more before I get to it. I mean, we already know everything in it, but because we already know this up one side, down the other, but this is a big step towards putting Bill Gates and Fauci and Peter Daszak and the rest of them in prison if they're lucky. And there's a new video of Bill Gates being chased through the streets of England, screaming at him that he's a tyrant, murdering everybody with the shots. I got that video. I mean, this is, woo, boy, the synopsis pages alone. What do they call that? The glossary, the syllabus, the, Oh, this doesn't look good. Here, let me tell you. You guys thought you were going to get away with all this. Doesn't look like you are to me. No, in fact, you're not getting away with it. You haven't gotten away with it. And just what's been done to you so far in the information war starts with a big capital D. Devastating. Biden likes to lean over the microphone. That's World War III. That's devastating. So, oh my gosh. Oh, goody gumdrops. Stay on target. Stay on target. Okay, just control yourself. Oh my gosh, this calls for a drink of delicious cold spring water. Refreshing. Stop it. All right. Seriously, I'm having an endorphin kick right now. My very cells are like, good job. Oh, yes. I mean, this is, excuse me. Yeah, I can't continue the show at this point. Just need a moment here. Excuse me. Ooh. All right. Oh. Boy, do I have a lot of stuff to cover here. I don't know anybody could ever claim there's a slow news day. It's the opposite. I'm like a guy that loves steak, and there's like 100 perfectly cooked, delicious, mouth-watering ribeyes, porterhouses, New York strips, sizzling in front of me, ready to be gobbled. But at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, how am I going to eat all this? Because I really, I just want to eat one. I want to eat like a 25-ounce ribeye or maybe a 30-ounce porterhouse. And because, this is all coffin nails in the new water. This is what it looks like when they are in free fall collapse. But at the same time, I did pretty good. I took a few deep breaths at the start of the show. I told you, and I did a good job. But this is hard. I'm trying. Because I'm not going to just cover the surface of these things. Let me tell you something. When the Senate puts out a report like that, it makes the top of my head blow off, because that's just another giant flamethrower signal that there's a total civil war within the power structures of the planet. And there's a lot of corrupt people, obviously. There's a lot of people who were just asleep, and now they realize how much danger everybody's in by the main group, the main establishment. And so humanity is like a truck stuck in the mud, and you finally start to get traction and you're coming out of it, and you get that moment where you know you've made it out, and you're still moving slow. Every second you move faster. I mean, that's where we are. And so it's like a giant weight is being lifted off of me. And it doesn't mean we're out of the woods, but man, I mean, I've had this weight on me for at least 35 years. A mission just burning in my bones, like Ezekiel talks about. I mean, burning. I'm burning right now. Burning. And it's because I've got dozens and dozens of big reports here that are just devastating. I mean, but then I start thinking, oh my God, the enemy is going to pull out all the stops. So then I'm like, whoa, I got to expose that. You got to expose that. We've got to get this information out to everybody. I mean, this is epic, historic stuff going on right now. I mean, this is amazing. By the way, I'm not doing this to be dramatic right now. I'm still got such a big adrenaline endorphin rush. I would imagine if Star Wars was real, you know, when they see the Death Star blow up, 10 seconds before they get blown up, imagine, I think you kind of get a little high for a minute. I mean, this is like Death Stars. It's like, oh. And then I start thinking, extrapolating out what that means, and I'm just like, oh. So, oh my goodness. Oh, God is so good. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, please, God, protect the children. Please, 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 please. Oh, my goodness. All right. And also what I'm doing is usually I look at the stack and I already have this big database of info I want to go over. And then now I just got off into this high as a kite thing, and I'm only on coffee and water and haven't even eaten today. And I'm not a hard drug user, so I can't really say. You know, I'm high right now. High on life, high on victory, high on the excitement of being a man in the arena, engaged with all these other men and women in the arena, battling tyranny. It's so epic. It's so delicious. It's so fulfilling. It's so real. It's so what we need to be. Oh, thank you, God. I just want to thank God. I want to pray right now to God. I just can't even do it because I'm just already praying right now to God. That's what's happening. Okay, let me get control of myself here. It's information overload. See, I was totally ready for the next attack, the next 3 stacks that all tie together. They all tie together, but these really tie together in a particular area. And then I went to break and started reading this, and I just was like, all right, let me just do this. Yeah, that's good. Let's play Trump calls for execution of human traffickers. And then now his administration says they're going to investigate and prosecute government officials that ran it with the UN, that were in charge of it. And Homan's very grave when he's looking at the camera saying that, because he's not stupid. He understands that if we don't win, he just signed his death warrant, just like I have committed, and just like many of you have committed to this fight. So we are facing the real heart of the war now. But I don't have a good feeling. I know we're going to win. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be pretty. And for some of us, it's not going to be enjoyable, but enjoyable at the moment sometimes, you know, but very fulfilling, empowering, enriching, completion. So it's beyond satisfaction. It's, I guess in the Zen term, encompassing all of time and space in the purity and perfection of God. Oneness with God. I am not one with God yet, but I can feel the approach. I can get a little inkling, which is the most powerful feeling you'll ever feel. So enriching. Every cell in your body crying out for it, wanting it to go back to the source, back into the embrace of the Almighty. Here's Trump.
I was thrilled to host a screening at Administr of the important new film, Sound of Freedom, about the power of faith in overcoming evil, and in particular, the evil of child trafficking. Big problem. We had it down to the lowest number in many years just 4 years ago, and now it's gone through the roof. Even though the fake news media has tried to ignore it, Sound of Freedom has been a national sensation and a colossal success at the box office, really big numbers. Everyone should see it. This is a very important film and very important movie, and it's a very important documentary all wrapped up in one. It's really about an issue that has to be discussed. Under my leadership, we did more than any administration in history to combat human trafficking and to end modern-day slavery. In one of my first acts in office, I signed an executive order targeting transnational criminal organizations that traffic and exploit innocent people. I signed the Frederick Douglass Trafficking Victims Prevention and Protection Reauthorization Act, authorizing $430 million to fight sex and labor trafficking. I signed legislation to crack down on foreign countries who are not meeting standards for eliminating trafficking, of which there are many. I also signed into law the Abolish Human Trafficking Act, which strengthened programs supporting survivors and provided more resources for ending modern slavery. We do have modern slavery, if you can believe it. Additionally, I created the first ever White House position focused solely on combating human trafficking. And perhaps most importantly, we created the most secure border in U.S. history by far, dealing a major blow to the cartels and traffickers. We built hundreds of miles of wall. We renovated hundreds of miles of wall. We never had anything like it. And then I got Mexico free of charge to give us 28,000 soldiers to protect us from people coming into our country illegally. When I am back in the White House, I will immediately end the Biden border nightmare that traffickers are using to exploit vulnerable women and children. We will fully secure the border. I will wage war on the cartels just as I destroyed the ISIS caliphate, 100% gone, 100% destroyed. They'll come back now because we have a weak administration. I will use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries and without delay. And I will urge Congress to ensure that anyone caught trafficking children across our border receives the death penalty immediately, and that includes also for women, because women, as you know, are number one in trafficking. Children are actually number two. I want to thank Eduardo, Jim, Tim Ballard, and everyone else involved in this film for their incredible efforts and their great genius. Together, we will end the scourge of human trafficking, and we will defend the dignity of human life. Thank you very much.
Agenda 47, President calls for death penalty for human traffickers. And now his incoming administration has pledged to target the administration officials. You don't need to fill in the blank. All right. So how are the bad guys going to strike back? Senator Blumenthal, one of the nastiest of the nasties, quarterbacking operations against InfoWars and yours truly, look it up, with the Justice Department and the CIA and their little buddies in Connecticut. Their little buddies. They introduced legislation 8 months ago that would strip the executive branch, the president, the chief executive, of the power to command the U.S. military forces. Oh, look, Senator Blumenthal calls the onions acquiring InfoWars sweet justice. Oh, really? The judge said again last week, did not happen. It was a fraud. Nothing out of Blumenthal. Stolen valor Blumenthal, disgraced Blumenthal, disgusting Blumenthal, evil, pathetic Blumenthal, enemy of humanity Blumenthal, scourge on the earth Blumenthal, the anathema creature, the servant of the devil Blumenthal, and a few other names he deserves. Look at that guy. Da Nang Dick. Yeah, that's his name. Combat veteran of Vietnam, never out of country. He ran the Toys for Tots program at the Capitol. Yeah. Always helping the children. Always close to the children. So, what are these guys going to do? Well, that's a pretty big constitutional crisis to introduce a bill that's just sitting there like a shark hunting seals to strip Trump of the military war powers and defense of the National Guard in America. That is a legislative coup against the executive. Completely unconstitutional. And it's been waiting, and they said, well, if Trump wins, we know there'll be uprisings because he's Hitler, and we can't allow him to be a dictator, which he's not. He's elected, and he has a job to do. And so they've said when he rounds up the illegals, the human traffickers, all of them, and when there's these uprisings that mayors and governors and Sean Penn and all of them have called for, California governor, Massachusetts governor, New York, all of them, they're going to call for citizens, as they've been doing, to uprise and physically battle, I'll show you some more headlines in a moment, the feds, who are doing a constitutional court-ordered duty. And then obviously they'll stage a false flag against some of the illegal aliens and say, look, Trump's Hitler. And then when they order the left to burn down the cities, in the blue cities they still control, the police standing down, they will then say he's a dictator. And when he tries to call out the National Guard, they think they'll create a constitutional crisis and have the Congress strip him. Now, they didn't win the election, but they do have some rhinos working for them, as you know. And so they could get that done. But we're exposing it beforehand. Now, and I know you've heard me cover this probably a couple hundred times, you're a regular listener. The difference is we're now in the future. We're now, 48 days? How many is it to his inauguration? And so here's NBC News, AP, Reuters, are all reporting it today. Democrat senators urge Biden to try to limit Trump's ability to use the U.S. military domestically. And they have that on CNN, that the Pentagon's meeting and preparing to not follow illegal orders for the National Guard or the military to aid ICE. Now, I already did a whole hour on this last week, but we've had lawyers on that agree with me. It's a fact that, and you look at what Eisenhower did and other presidents, he could call out the regular army. He could call the Marines out. They have before. But no, it's just going to be the feds, and a lot of jurisdictions are going to help them. It's a federal duty. It's constitutional. One of the three main duties of the federal government. It's in the damn Constitution. Go look it up. The Declaration of Independence is all about controlling illegal aliens. Go read it. I mean, that's July 4th, folks. Heard of that day? That was one of their biggest beefs. Wasn't about a 3% T-tax. That was just one thing they went after as an example. They are already pre-positioning this that if he tries to do anything during civil unrest, they are preparing that he's a tyrant. Two Democrat senators are urging, they want Biden to get behind it before Trump leaves to make it look legitimate. Here, Biden, go along with us taking your constitutional power away. Two Democrat senators are urging the Biden administration to issue a policy directive that could temporarily limit President-elect Trump's ability to deploy U.S. military troops domestically after he takes office. Putting handcuffs on before they blow the country up, burn the country down. But it's mostly peaceful, so don't worry. Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat Massachusetts, and Richard Blumenthal, Democrat Connecticut, both members of the Armed Services Committee, sent a letter dated November 26 to President Joe Biden and the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, that's being fired, that urged them to issue a policy directive that would ensure that U.S. troops, not from the president, no, Lloyd Austin's the president, can be used only when local or state authorities ask for federal help or are unable or unwilling to protect the public. What'd you see with defund the police and the rest of it? They're going to have Democrat governors, Newsom's already said this, even secede. And by the way, I didn't break this last week because I wanted to make some more calls. I talked to some folks in Silicon Valley that are well-placed, and they told me specifically about mayors and city councils that they've been in the meetings with, that have been in the meetings with Newsom, where they are planning to basically have California secede. They won't call it that, but that's what it'll be in the fine print. Remember what in 2020 in the New York Times, right before the election, they had that big war game article of how to contest the election, saying we won't accept a Trump win. We'll have our own inauguration, and we'll have Democrat states break off. So that was their plan then if Trump overrode the fraud, which he didn't. And so they're going right back to their public plan then, now. That's how I've known for months and 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 months this was coming, and that we should understand that, and that Trump needs to what? Get ahead of it. Yeah, that's the Time magazine. When I forget the New York Times, type in John Podesta war-gamed not accepting a Trump win in 2020. And it was the Democrat Party, DNC officially. It has an innocuous headline. It's like a huge article. But when you read into it, in the article, it says right there that they weren't going to. John Podesta proposes alternate inauguration. Stuff like that. That'll pull it up. So this has been their plan. It is the plan. And again, how do you make Trump look illegitimate? Well, you got to kill a bunch of Democrats. And they've mainly been programming that, the white supremacists are going to blow up all the power stations. And then they keep provocateuring it, the FBI does. And, they're going to kill migrants. So you either have some lunatics you wind up and pay to do it, or the globalists do it, or some Merc group does it, and then you blame Trump supporters, and then you have the left in the counties and cities and states they control just burn everything down. And then when Trump rightfully has the military go in, like they did in the LA riots in the early 90s, yeah, there it is. Democrats' war game for election includes West Coast secession, possible civil war. Yeah, that's the Breitbart article, and then it links to the New York Times. Good. Oh, you found it. There it is. How the media could get the election wrong. Why we may now not know the results for days or even weeks. So it's time to rethink election night. And yeah, and then print me that. And then in that article, everything I said is there. Good job, crew. So it's kind of a big deal, right? Yeah, it's the enemy counterstrike plan. We have it. They think we're so stupid that they openly prepare it and then have all the pre-preparation, and now they're hyping up the final preparation for it right now with an overlay of a cyber attack they claim the Russians did to knock out the power in certain areas. Yep. Are we going to let them do this? Stay with us. My fellow Patriots, there are a lot of amazing Patriot gear, supplements, you name it, at thealexjonestore.com. But we've now added a whole bunch of other really cool items. There are a bunch of amazing campaign coins for InfoWars for $17.76, for the Fight for Liberty on the site as low as $9.99. Some of the challenge coins are $14.97. They're great fundraisers for us. They have a lot of weight in them. They look great. They're great conversation starters, great gifts, great keepsakes, mementos, and you know that you've supported the InfoWar. So I want to thank you all for your past support and encourage you now to go to thealexjonestore.com, our amazing sponsor that will keep us on air one way or the other. If InfoWars gets shut down, That's okay, because they're a great sponsor. They're not owned by me, and the bad guys won't be able to shut down the AlexJonesStore.com. So go there for the campaign coins and so much more today, and keep me in the fight. Thank you so much for your support.